5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And with that, welcome to your Media Watch Podcast. I am your host, Shane Beauregard, coming at you with all your news, reviews, and previews. I want to watch on your streaming services, your television, and yes, your movie theater, at least for this week. That's right, I took my first trip back to the movies since March, since I watched The Hunt. I'll give you my movie theater experience later on in the podcast. So let's get right into some old news, some new news, some random news. But before we get into all that, I swear last Thursday and Friday were some of my happiest days in the year 2020. One of my kids finally went back to school. Amen. Hallelujah. I cannot tell you how that made me feel. Like a little weight has been lifted off my chest, along with some stress balloons gone. So now I just got one kid to deal with at home, and I will take that. And again, I went to the movies on Friday night. That was possibly the best week I've had in 2020. Even though I had to pretty much chaperone my daughter's girls' sleepover party because my VP was out of commission. She was not feeling well, so it was up to me to corral these girls. And yeah, it was a mess. But you know what? Nothing could damper my weekend. That's how good it was. So I forgot to mention this during the last podcast. I meant to bring up Tubi, another streaming option for you. Tubi, and the missus actually brought this one to my attention, and then I noticed I've been seeing some commercials for it on the football games. Yes, I still watch the NFL, but I will say, now I did not write down a list of what they have available, but you do have to watch like 2 or 3 commercial breaks, but they actually have a pretty decent selection of movies to choose from. That's why I ended up wrapping up my Halloween season. They have a really good horror section, they have a really good action section. Like nothing brand spanking new, but really enough. They have a lot. So I would check that out. I downloaded it on my Roku stick. It's Tubi. Netflix is raising prices, I believe, from $14.99 to $17.99, coming into effect December the 9th. And that's fine with me. I mean, we're in the streaming world right now, and as much content, whether you can argue if it's good or bad, someone's got to pay Adam Sandler. And it's going to be us. So an extra $3 a month, for whatever, I'll do it. I waste $3 all the time. So that doesn't bother me whatsoever. Again, they have to pay for all this content they're bringing out. I don't have an issue with it. However, I do have an issue, and now this is older news, but Anne Hathaway and HBO Max had an issue and an apology over that remake movie, The Witches, or Witches, whatever it is, I don't care. But there was a big protest because apparently some people, unfortunately, are born with like this hand deformment, and apparently that's what Anne Hathaway's hands look like. So of course, someone was fired up, and Anne Hathaway and HBO Max issued an apology, and I wish they would just stop the apologies. Like, I am sorry you're born with claw hands. I really am. I am. Because it could, obviously, it's embarrassing and something you got to deal with. But knowing they made the movie, not to make fun of you, but that's just how they depicted the witches in this movie. Now, I think in the original one, which we did watch, well, the VP and the kids watched, I watched half of it, they also had some kind of deformity. But again, that one was like 1990. We are in 2020. But don't take it as a personal attack. I mean, Jesus Christmas. How about a coincidence? How about that? You ever hear of a coincidence? These people just, again, need to get a life. I am sorry. You have claw hands. But Jesus Christ. HBO, take a stand and just stop apologizing for everything. This is random news. Since I've been home with my kids, I was flicking through some regular television at 11 o'clock in the morning. Did you know Drew Barrymore actually has a show? I had no idea. Yeah, a show, Drew Barrymore, like a talk show in the morning. Kind of like a Rachel, who's the chef there? Rachel Ray. Yeah, I did not know. I don't even know how long this has been going on. But yeah, the Drew Barrymore show. I can't even tell you what station it was on. I think it's ABC. One of them could be Fox. I don't know. Last bit of news I have for you is the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is doing a 30-year anniversary on HBO Max. Of course, all the original cast, even the two Aunt Vivs are going to be on there. And unfortunately, the passing of Uncle Phil, and I'm sorry I don't know the actor's name off the bat. Obviously, he'd be the only one not there, but it looks like a good time. I wish I had HBO Max again. I'm holding out until the Snyder Cut. Yep, so I'll catch up on everything HBO Max once I pay my month or 2-month subscription to them and just go into a cave and watch all kinds of content. Yeah, that's all the news I really have for you. Oh no, Gerard Butler. Sorry. You know, I bring this guy up because he's doing another one. Like we need a 4th installment of the Angel Has Fallen series. I've seen the first one, half of the second one, didn't even bother with the third one. It's kind of natural that Nick Nolte was in the third one because that's what kind of Gerard Butler's turning into. I think this one is called Night Has Fallen. Like we needed a 4th film. Like what happened? Like seriously, what's happened to Gerard Butler? You know, he hit his peak during 300. I'm like, this is guy, and he's been around for a while. I shouldn't say that. But I think what sank him is he went on that whole rom-com bit with the terrible one with Jennifer Aniston, then the even worse one with Katherine Heigl. I don't think he ever recovered from them. Now he looks like Nick Nolte. So, Gerard Butler. 300 was a long time ago, buddy. Let's turn our attention to Netflix right now. Listen, I know we're a week away from Thanksgiving. I get it, but in my mind, we're still at the beginning of November, if that makes any sense. How close Thanksgiving is just really never entered my sphere here until like this week. Everyone's like, yeah, Thanksgiving's next week. I was like, oh shit, because for the last 2 weeks I've watched nothing but holiday car commercials. That's when you know Christmas is coming around the corner because gotta sell those Lexuses and those BMWs and those Mercedes-Benz. Those commercials piss me off more than anything you can do around the holidays. It is so fucking pretentious. I can't stand it. And can we just give Thanksgiving its due? Like, do we really have to stuff Christmas down our throats right now? Like, my daughter started watching Home Alone, which I love Home Alone. I actually liked Home Alone 2 as well. But I myself personally do not watch any Christmas movies until Thanksgiving is over. Give Thanksgiving its due. But Netflix thinks it's fucking Christmas already because they were dropping a slew of Christmas stuff. I highlighted a couple of them an episode ago, but Jingle Jangle came out, A Christmas Journey. That's out now. What's dropping tomorrow, though, is Kevin Hart's new stand-up special. I'm looking forward to it because his last two, mediocre at best. His early stuff, outstanding. I still laugh at A Little Big Man. That is his A-plus performance. His last two stadium shows, hit and miss, but I still like them. I do, so I'm going to give this one a shot. I need a good comedy right now. I need good stand-up right now. That's what I need. So that's coming out on Netflix tomorrow, and The Crown is already come out. And again, Gillian Scully cannot get me into The Crown. I'm sorry. Won't do it. Can't do it. Over at Amazon Prime, you have a show that was a YouTube original, I believe, Wayne. Came out 2018, first season. Now Amazon Prime picked it up. It's a dark show. I will say that. I'm not going to review it because I'm not all the way through the show. It stars Dean Winters, Mike O'Malley, who I like. Mark McKenna it plays Wayne. You would have seen him in Sing Street in Overlord. And he plays just a rough Bostonian kid who's like a bully and gets bullied on by his parents, and his dad ends up dying, and the only thing left to him was like this Firebird that he's going down to Florida to collect. And he ends up not kidnapping, but he ends up taking Dean Winters' daughter with him on this road trip from Boston to Florida. And that's pretty much the premise of the show. But this kid has no social skills. Again, a lot of kids are scared of him. It's a wacky, violent show that I can't find myself binging, but I will watch 1 or 2 episodes at a time. I have like 3 episodes left. I'm into it. It's called Wayne on Amazon Prime, if you wanted to check that out. Other than that, I really haven't found much on Amazon Prime right now. So, let's turn our attention to the box office. That's right, coming in at number 5, Liam Neeson is still hanging on with The Honest Thief. Yeah, let's try that again. The Honest Thief, bringing in $800,000. Number 4, Come Plays, bringing in $1.1 million. Number 3, Robert De Niro, The War with Grandpa, Granddad, Grand something, bringing in $1.3 million. Number 2, the Kevin Costner, Diane Lane, I almost said Diane Keaton, film Let 'Em Go, is bringing in $1.8 million. And I do kind of want to check that one out. It's getting really good reviews right now. And Kevin Costner's must be like a Western cowboy kick lately between this and that show Yellowstone. He's going all in with this Midwest stuff. And number 1, the Vince Vaughn Project, Freaky, bringing in $3.7 million. That is your box office wrap-up. Now, let's go ahead and turn our attention to what's streaming. The top 10 shows and movies on Netflix right now. Number 10, the Netflix original show Dash and Lily. Number 9, the Netflix original kids show Coco Melon. Number 8, the Naomi Watts, Ewan McGregor film The Impossible. Number 7, The Life Ahead. Coming in at number 6, American Horror Story. Coming in at number 5, Trial 4, which is Netflix like documentary miniseries. Number 3, the aforementioned Jingle Jangle, A Christmas Journey. Number 2, the Netflix original show Queen's Gambit. And number 1, the Netflix original show The Crown. That is your top 10 streaming movies and shows for Netflix today. Now let's get into a little bit of what I watched this week. Since we are definitely away from Halloween, I got caught up on the first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. Kind of the same pacing, same everything as season 1. I really like it. Though I kind of want them to pick up the pace a little bit. I don't want The Mandalorian to turn into like the Monster of the Week episode. The first episode, Timothy Olyphant, who you know I love, played a marshal. I like that episode. Second episode was good too, but again, I just want them to pick up the story just a little bit more. I'm behind 1 episode, so keep that in mind. Still love the show. Great stuff. And I heard this uproar about Baby Yoda eating those eggs. Really? Who cares? Who cares? I tell you, the internet's made that a big fucking deal. And, who gives a shit? 2 good episodes so far. I know the 3rd episode has Katie Sackhoff in it, so I can't wait for that one. I will give you my thoughts as each episode goes along. But so far, so good. Just pick up the pace, please. I ended up watching Mile 22 with Mark Whalberg and Lauren Cohen from Walking Dead fame. This came out a couple weeks ago and it was trending in the top 10. I'm not going to give you my full review, but this movie was fucking terrible. I'm sorry. I'm hit or miss with Mark Whalberg as it is. It also stars the actor from the Raid series, which I didn't want to butcher his name. And Mark Wahlberg is in charge of this co-op team that movie starts off and they end up going into this little Russian hideout. Things kind of go sideways and they had some misinformation of one of Lauren Cohen's, I want to say mole, but let's call her a snitch. I keep forgetting what the hell this person's called. Anyway, played by the guy from the Raid, and he ends up bringing himself into the embassy, and the movie goes from there. But I couldn't take this movie seriously. There were some really good action scenes, all revolving around the guy from the Raid. Once he gets into the embassy, that's where this movie really picks up. It also stars John Malkovich. But Mark Wahlberg's character was so annoying. The whole team was so annoying. Like, they gave him this tick throughout the movie where he kept snapping this rubber band on his wrist. Yeah, it's so fucking random. It didn't tie into any moment in the movie. And they gave Lauren Cohen a backstory. No reason to. Like, literally no reason to. And the big surprise is this agent, didn't just double cross, he was a triple agent. Double cross. He was not only a double agent, he was a triple agent. Spoiler alert, which we find out at the end of the movie. And that's how the movie ends. Yeah. So, Ronda Rousey was also in this as well. What really irritated me most than anything was, again, Mark Whalberg plays this really hard-ass in charge of this unit. And every time, he spent the whole movie just yelling at his squad. And the way he yells when he gets really mad, he sounds too effeminate. I can't take him seriously when he sounds like a fucking female yelling. He gets that whispery, kind of voice going on, and I just couldn't take him seriously. Like, if I was a coworker, I would laugh at him. Like, I could not take this guy seriously. This movie sucked, and I'm so glad I did not see this shit in the movie theater. So, Mile 22, just if you're a diehard Mark Whalberg fan, have fun. Like I said, it did have 3 good action scenes in the movie. None of them with Mark Whalberg as the catalyst, mind you. It was all the guy from The Raid. So, terrible. Right, next up on my list is One Bedroom, which is sitting at 86% critic score to 55% audience score. Yeah, I told you I wasn't giving you a full review from Mile 22, so if you're looking for the audience score and crit, I'm not giving it to you. I don't know what it is. It's really low. But I would give that movie a 1.5 out of 5 just because the guy from The Raid kicked ass. Going back to One Bedroom, this is written and directed by first-time writer and director David Marmore. I think I pronounced that right. Stars Nicole B, because I'm going to butcher her name. I've never seen her in anything else. This is a nice, tight film, I will say. And I'm glad I stuck with it because I almost shut it off. I did. It's about a single girl who moves to LA to get away from her parents to kind of start her own life. And she ends up in this seemingly perfect apartment complex. But she finds out there's more behind the covers than she expected, especially if you break the rules. There are consequences for this. So, again, she goes to this open house to this apartment complex, and she thinks it's too good to be true, and it is. Everyone is so super nice. Everyone's having these cookouts. They're helping her move in. And right off the bat, she breaks one rule. She sneaks her cat into the complex. And if you're a cat lover, it's like I told my VP, anytime you see a dude and a dog in a movie, and it's like one of those post-apocalyptic movies, or, like a thriller, don't be surprised the dog dies, okay? This isn't a spoiler, but she has a cat. She broke the rules. Cat just did not turned into casserole, for lack of a better word. That freaks her out because she realizes a lot of people are watching her. She realizes she's being watched. She's not alone. She tries to get help because someone tries to assault her. And next thing she knows, she wakes up in this, detention room where the leader of this apartment complex, or I should say the owner at this point, or manager, kind of gives her the whole breakdown of the apartment complex, and they rule. They're like a cult. They're like a cult. And apparently this movie was kind of pieced together by ex-members of Scientologists, and there was another cult-ish kind of movement, and they kind of strung some of these stories together to make this film. So she either has to give in to the way they live, or they kill her. So, and at first you're thinking, how are they going to, she has a job, she has a family. That's all written pretty smartly. They give you exactly how they cut these people off from society, where they're just kind of trapped in this apartment complex and have to abide by the rules. Once they undergo this torture, there's no better lack of word for it. She's really in a tough spot here because she doesn't want to be there, but yet she doesn't follow through. It's pretty tough torture too. I wouldn't be able to make it through. And then the movie kind of goes from there. So I want to go less more spoiler free with this one. It's really tightly written, like I said. I like the way it was directed. It is a slower paced movie, but it's a short movie. It was like an hour and 25 minutes. Had some really nice twists and turns in the third act. I like the acting in this movie. The only question that popped up in my head when I realized that, man, everyone's watching every single moment of your life in these rooms. Would that stop you from masturbating? Or any kind of sexual activity. Got that voyeurism feel to it. Yeah, I think maybe for the first, I'll give myself 2 weeks before I break down, and it's carte blanche after that. It's view at your own pleasure, as they say. Yeah, it wouldn't stop me. It may stop some people, but it ain't gonna stop me. I know, right? That's where my mind goes when I watch a movie like this. But no, seriously, check it out. I highly recommend it. I agree more with the critics, and I'm going to keep an eye on this David Marmore guy. Really nicely done. I'm going to give this one a 3.75 out of 5, just for the writing and directing alone. And it's a good story. It really does keep you on your toes, so that's a go for me. But here we are. I finally got to the movies Friday night, and I know what you're saying. How irresponsible are you? One, I will say this. You know how I feel about this whole COVID stuff. I wear a mask everywhere. I obey the rules. and movie theaters are open at a limited capacity. And I will say, I bought my tickets online, and they separated the aisles. Everyone has gloves and masks on. You have to wear a mask going to the movie theater. And there were literally 4 people in the screening. And this was one of the biggest rooms they had. I was around, I shouldn't even say around, but there were 3 other people in the theater beside myself. And I will say that you have more contact, or you're closer to people in your local grocery store than you are in the movie theater these days. So, I will say, if you take proper precaution, I would not worry about going to the movie theater. Now, I can't tell you how much to worry or how little to worry. I'm just saying, you've probably been to Costco or Stop and Shop for all my northern listeners up there. And you definitely have more contact, or you're closer to people in Stop and Shop than you are at your local Cinemark. So, I had a pleasure. I will, if there's a movie that I really want to see, which there's really none coming down the pipe here, I would have no problem going back to the movie theater. It was a nice, relaxing feeling being in there. And, all the trailers we've already seen. I will say they did have a smart commercial in there where they're showing Wonder Woman and this very tiny, small screen in the middle of the big movie theater screen. And they're kind of talking through it. And as the commercial goes on, the picture gets bigger, and all of a sudden it takes up the whole screen. And their point was, some movies, you still need to have that cinematic experience. And I could not agree more. I thought it was a smart commercial because, listen, I have no issues watching movies on my laptop or TV. I refuse, however, to watch a movie on my phone because why bother? But there are movies, and we will get back to that point in time, though I think it's going to be 2022 before everything kind of gets back to normal in the movie theater, but I'll save that talk for a different day. The movie I decided to see was Freaky, with Vince Vaughn and Katherine Newton. You'd recognize her from the last Pokemon Detective movie, and she was in a couple other things, but that's the last movie I saw her in. This one is sitting at 85% critic score with an 82% audience score. Also stars Alan Ruck, Cam from Ferris Bueller. And you also have Celeste O'Connor playing Nyla and Misha Ovovich playing Josh, Millie's 2 best friends in this movie. Directed and written by Christopher Landon. And co-written with Michael Kennedy. And he is the director of the 2 Happy Death Days. So when I was watching this movie, I did have a feel for Happy Death Day, the way it was shot. The humor in this movie was in line with Happy Death Day. So I like this Christopher Landon guy. I'm going to keep my eye on him as well. And I had a great time with this movie. Yes, it does have some really stereotypical horror tropes, but I think that's what they're highlighting in this movie. So Vince Vaughn plays the Blissfield Butcher. And this town is right out of a Norman Rockwell painting. It's this little town, so quaint. Everyone's just very cordial to each other. They have like singing and dancing in the town square. But every so often these teenagers get murdered by the Blissfield Butcher. So the movie starts off, great first scene by the way. Starts off on November the 11th. They make this a point in the movie where they have these 4 teenagers sitting in one of their friends' mansion while their parents are gone, and they bring up this folklore about this butcher, and there's varying stories, but as one of them sneaks off to go clean something up, here's Vince Vaughn in what I describe as, it's supposed to be like this African mask, but it's very Jason Voorhees-like, and he ends up dispatching with these teenagers in the opening scene. And I will say there are some really good creative kills. I really liked it. I will say Vince Vaughn is just, whether you like his movies or not, he played both roles really well. He played the serial killer really well, and he played his female counterpart when he turned into Millie really well. I got a kick out of it. I will say it was and I could tell Vaughn probably went back and watched probably the entire run of Friday the 13th, because he was very reminiscent to Jason Voorhees. The way he killed, the way he tracked down these people, to his mask. He even had a kill where he kind of tilted his head to the side. Again, lifting off of Jason Voorhees, but in kind of a complimentary fashion rather than, hey, they stole this from this. I think it's obvious this was an influence on this movie and his character. And when he was in Millie's body, it was great because when he tried to kill some of these teenagers in the school, he realized he's not this big 6'5" hulking dude anymore. He actually gets thrown around a little bit at first because he has to adapt to being in a weaker body. I really like that. And they give him no background. He's just a psychopath. Just a psychopath. The only nitpicking thing I will say is I didn't know if he was mentally challenged at the beginning of this movie because he didn't talk at first when he was a serial killer. And when he went into Millie's body, he barely said anything. And what he did say was very basic. And I'm like, wow, okay, so is he slow and just a psychopath? But then at the very end of the movie, his dialogue really picks up. So that was kind of a weird transition. Other than that, good kills, fast film, funny in parts, especially when he finally confronts his two friends as Vince Vaughn trapped in this body, getting them to believe it. Very good cafeteria fight there. And I did like Catherine Newton, don't get me wrong. She was good as well. I liked when she was playing the serial killer. And so I had just a really good time with this movie. I wouldn't go to the theater to see it again, but I would definitely watch it when it was on TV, really at any time. There were some moments in here. Alan Ruck gives some really good scenes. And the confrontation with Alan Ruck and Millie is really good. And but I will say, it is 2020, so they did flip the script on certain situations. Like the very first scene, one of the teenage boys is getting it on doggy style with the girl, and all of a sudden she pulls away from him. And he's like, hey, I wasn't done yet. Apparently she was. And he just kind of it's kind of the role reversal of what some guys would do apparently. But they flipped that on a script here. And some of the stereotypical stuff in high schools, they kind of changed. You definitely had your mean girls in here as well. Because regular Millie, is kind of picked on and bullied from the mean girls. So, it was a very fast-paced, very fun movie. And I loved Vince Vaughn's take on serial killer. And as the girl, not quite up to par Jack Black's first role in Jumanji, where where the girl got into his body. I thought he pulled that off a little better than Vince Vaughn, but still, good effort here. I agree with both the critics and the audience on this one. I'm going to go ahead and give Freaky a 4.0 out of 5. If you don't want to go to a movie theater, that's fine. But as soon as you see this for rental, now I wouldn't say go ahead and drop $15 on this thing, but $6.99. You would not waste your money. Go check this out. It's the first film to bring me back to the theater since The Hunt. It's a long time coming, my friends. So, that's it. That's all I got until we start rolling into Thanksgiving. Who knows what I'll get myself into. I'll check out to see what's in the movie theater, though I don't think I'll be back there this week. But I still got a lot on my plate to watch. I'll catch up on The Mandalorian. And, again, I have some stuff in my queue. I'll start watching and get back to you soon, folks. So until then, go to the Apple Podcast Store, download me, share me, let me into your friends' life. I guarantee you they'll appreciate it. Or go to my Facebook Media Mosh page or the Twitterverse at Shane Media Mosh. But then do yourself a favor, circle the wagons and go check out Mr. Argue Myself, Chris Rodell on the Instagram, the Twitterverse, and the Facebooks. 3 different platforms for 3 different types of content. Until then, get caught up in the mosh.